Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're going to be taking a look through my collection of vintage Foursquare paperbacks as it stands in 2024. In a second video, we'll be having a look through the continuation of this series into the New English Library. So until then, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so we're starting off with this one, which is Foursquare number 1. Look at this, a J.B. Priestley, The Magicians. And this is typical of the early sort of format of the Foursquare, 1957. And like a lot of the 50s publishers, they are just reprinting books that have been in hardback a year or two beforehand. And trying to compete with the market, which is what? Filled with Penguin and Pan and Collins. Here's number 2, Simonon. Very, very nice. These are, I would say, these early ones in particular are getting harder and harder to find, particularly in nice condition. So I've got a couple that I would say are definitely questionable condition, but I don't really want to get rid of them until a better ones come along, really. And Quiet Flows the Don, Mikhail Sholokhov, The Cossacks and War and Revolution. That's number 4. Now, I've only got a smattering of the 2,800 books that were published under the Foursquare label here. I mean, really, it's a massive undertaking. Here's number 5 here, Eric Ambler. And I actually don't know anybody else who collects the vintage Foursquare. There's quite a few people who collect their offspring, which is the New English Library, and we'll obviously have a look at those when we get to it, because the two sort of morph into one another. It's quite an interesting little period in Foursquare and paperback history. In fact, here's number 6, The Small General. But we've got an awful lot to get through, so I'm not going to hang around and dwell too much. Number 7 here, Festival at Fairbridge. So the earlier ones, I suppose, I've tried to pick up when I've seen them, rather than the later ones. This is one I got fairly recently at the London Paperback Show. It's number 8. It's a true crime one. Murder Inc. Very, very nice. Really beautiful artwork on these early books here, and a lot of them, in fact, that one's actually signed. A lot of them are by the artist Mortelmans, who was around for quite some time. The first 90, I think it's 90 or 96, I think possibly, were actually released as, in fact, I've got one here, as cigarette cards. So there's an example of this one here, which is The Little Ark, Foursquare book number 76, which I don't actually have, but here's the cigarette card that was released for it. So when I get that set, because it is on my wants list, I'm just waiting for them to turn up at a decent price. I'll do a separate video on the Foursquare trading cards. This is one of my favourites of the early ones. Beautiful cover there, Birdman of Alcatraz. Very interesting book, that. Superb film. One I've had a long, long time. Even before I collected Foursquare, I had that particular book. Here's a nice example of number 19 in particularly nice condition. They are out there in nice nick, but it's hard to find them. It's got a little £4 inside. 1958. They're not always easy to find in nice condition. That is the real problem with these. But they are out there. It's Perseverance. John Hershey, an author I do actually really like. This is number 20, A Bell for a Dano. It's a war memoir, I believe, non-fiction. Captain from Connecticut. It's a slightly more unusual C.S. Forester, the Hornblower author. Just getting a Mortimer's jacket there. Something of value. Robert Rooke. So they didn't mind publishing big, thick books. They did old Foursquare. This one's almost 500 pages and in actually really nice condition. So quite pleased with that one. An Axe to Grind, Earl Stanley Gardner. Nice one there. Number 46. 50 here, San Quentin. The dramatic story of an American penitentiary. That's in quite a nice condition on that. Some you'll see are really tip-top shape. Others have just, obviously been through the second-hand system a bit. 53 here, Virgin Island. Rob White. And the artwork's replicated on the back. So it doesn't tell you much about the actual story on the covers. RAF Biggin Hill, Graham Wallace. Nice action jacket on that one, number 61. The Troubled Water, Irwin Shore. Now this is a slightly wider one, and the size, number 66, the size does vary ever so slightly, which is a little bit weird. I think it might be down to where they were printed, but there's a few like that. Bury the Past, number 69. Quite a nice one. Alexander Fullerton. The Track, number 70. And I'd very much like to get the first 100 if I could. That would be a real nice achievement. Another C.S. Forester here. The Naval War of 1812 was his specialty, wasn't it? Yearning. Major Kinnan Rawlings. Bit of a beat on that one, that. Number 73. The Foolish Immortals. Paul Glicker. 79. This is number 81. The Gay Galliard. Margaret Irwin. Another like historical one. And this is probably, this one here, number 83, was probably their first big hit, was Lucky Jim. And this is a very, very common book to find. I think this sold millions from what, you know, it's so common. It really is. There we are, look. I mean, even in hardback, look at all the printings in hardback. It was a glance, which I do actually have the first hardback of this. But look, all those 20 printings in hardback before Foursquare got it in paperback in 1959. And it was definitely an absolute Foursquare hit by a long way. And its follow-up did very well as well. I like it here, which we'll see in a minute. So next we've got number 86, Darkness at Noon, Arthur Koester. Really nice sort of atmospheric jacket on that one. Now 87 is the first one in Foursquare's reprinting of the classic Tarzan of the Apes, Edgar Rice Burroughs, and these are great. And this is like a sub-series within the series, and 3 and 9, and absolutely great series, this one. And I was looking for the printing history. Oh, there it is. 1959. So if you're keeping count, 59 is the year that one was released. Aurora Dawn, Herman Work, number 88. Another one, very beautiful cover on that. Lovely painted artwork. Once again, I see a very faint Mortalman signature down there. Return of Tarzan, 93. And these early Tarzan ones are collected in their own right. The Foursquare Tarzan run is very nice indeed. Bit of a beat on that one here. Pearlesque Buck, 98. The Patriot. And that's all the ones that I've got in the first 100, but we do, of course, very much carry on. So 101 here is Montgomery. Look at the Allied Leader by Alan Moorhead. That's actually got a wraparound jacket on that one, which is quite nice. That's the first time we've seen that, I think. Kingfishers Catch Fire, Rumour Godden. Maggie, a Girl of the Streets. Now this is a theme that will come up quite a bit in the history of Foursquare. They didn't shy away from slightly controversial subjects, and that very much carried on into the New English Library era. They were all about making some money, and if it was a trend or, you know, something that they thought they could get away with, they would definitely do it. 114 here, The One Talent. The Sojourner, Marjorie Kinnan Rawlings, 117. Looks like possibly a bit of a Western vibe, like a bit of a tatty old copy of that one with the staining there. The Lord Have Mercy, Shelley Smith. I said some of these, I mean, I've been collecting Foursquare, but not seriously, for literally decades. And some of these are very much the worse for wear. I don't even know why I'm keeping them, but I'd rather just have a copy rather than not have one at all. 121, The Shades Will Not Vanish. A final strange suspension of a return to POW with a murderous obsession. So once again, this has got a wraparound jacket on it. Very nice. These do look extra nice when they're in tip-top shape, these, which isn't always the case. Battery from Hellfire, 122. Porgy and Bess, DeBose Hayward. Young Cardinal, another Simonon. There's quite a few Simonon in Foursquare, more than you might think. Dorothy Sayers here, 5 Red Herrings. Nice one, that. bridge, Pamela Frankow. This is another one which is much wider than a regular book. In fact, this might be easier to compare it to. Have a look at that. It's got an extra, well, about 1/2 centimetre in width. So it's what I would call a 4-square widey. And there's a few like that. Just don't know why. Don't know what the reason is behind that, but evidently there was something going on at the printers. 138, Ice Flows and Flaming Water. Not so sure about this one. The Heart Has Its Reasons, Duchess of Windsor. The Story of the Abdication. Oh, look at that. Bit of a beaten up old copy, but quite a collectible subject, that stuff on the abdication, believe it or not. As Far As My Feet Will Carry Me. Yeah, there's a very collectible pan title in that sort of subject. 151 here, a climbing story. Another Tarzan, The Magnificent, 152. A great jacket that is, isn't it? That is fantastic. Very, very nice, and with a little vignette on the back as well. Just superb. The Green Beret, Hilary St. George Saunders, 152. Liberty Man, Gillian Freeman, 159. Famine, Liam O'Flaherty, 162. Story of the Irish famine. Zeebrugge, Imperishable Glorious Naval Action. Some of these are not all Mortimer's jackets now. Tarzan at the Earth's Core, 168. Another terrific one. Insurrection, Liam O'Flaherty. Irish Revolt Against British Rule, 174. Company Q, Civil War book, Richard O'Connor, 180 that was. Son of Tarzan, 183. (184), so back-to-back Tarzans here. In fact, there's a little run of these. Tarzan and the Jules of Opar. They must have been selling all right. I really like that jacket. That is great, isn't it? Must get around to getting some of these bagged up. Tarzan the Untamed, 185. Give them all a final clean, possibly. Tarzan and the Ant-Men, 186. Roger Casement. Casement was caught landing from a German U-boat. Tried for treason and hanged. His notorious diaries are debated here. 189, there you go. Good stuff. So another Maigret now, 191. Maigret Goes to School. Indeed he does. Bit of a spine roll on that one. Blood on the Sea, 192. Vicky Baum. That's a first of a couple of Churchill's. This one's on the River War, which is one of Churchill's early books. In fact, I think it's his first book, The River War. Strong Poison, Dorothy Sayers there, 196. Nice copy of that one. Actually says there on the back, a 4-square detective novel. Half Safe, Ben Carlin, 198. Judo, Eric Dominy. It's an illustrated book, so they mixed in the non-fiction as well as the fiction. All the different genres, they weren't sort of differentiated against. A book on D-Day there, John Sawyer, 205. The Story of Operation Overlord. When was this dated? 1960. We are now in with 4-square. The World in Evening, Christopher Isherwood. We've got another thickie, a 4-square thickie here. The Last of the Wine, Mary Renault, 212. Yeah, I'm really not sure what the reason is behind that. And this is the biggest vintage paperback I think I own. It's a abridged version of the World Crisis. This was originally 6 volumes by Churchill. It's Foursquare 213. I'm not even sure mine's the first, but it is rare. It's the only one I've ever seen. I've never seen another. I'm hoping it's a first Foursquare, but I don't know for sure. It's a reprint. It was published in Foursquare 1960. That's the reprint from 64. Probably keeping the original jacket. So, yeah, I think that's probably pretty rare, that one. Spycatcher 2, 216. Yeah, I didn't think I had a first print of that. Most of these are first prints that you see. Pretty much all of them. Another Dorothy Sayers there. In the Teeth of the Evidence. The 85 Days, R.W. Thompson. Another wartime. Road to the Coast, John Harris. Beasts of Tarzan. Very nice. That's number 240. 243, Look Back in Anger. A new novel by John Burt. That's the first by him we've seen today. Looks like it was the movie tie-in. Yeah, Richard Burton. That was John Burke's thing, wasn't it? The movie tie-in. Maxine Davis, 244, Sex and the Adolescent. Probably quite scarce, that one. Most Likely to Succeed, John Dos Passos, 245. American book. Had this one for a long time, Blitz on Britain, 251. There's not a lot of Foursquare books that are mega money. I mean, there really isn't. Most of these that we've seen here today can be picked up for a few pounds. The first Tarzan is maybe a little bit more expensive, and possibly some of the crime, but none of these are mega money, so it's a pretty cheap publisher to collect. 252. It's a bit like Pan, really, where there's a lot of them, so collecting them wouldn't be cheap. But at the same time, if you can find little job lots and that, you can soon get a collection together. Here's another Foursquare Widey, 262. First Overland. Overland from London to Singapore in 2 Land Rovers, as seen on TV. Well, there you go. Sounds like the Ewan McGregor series, isn't it? Another Widey here. The Hard Blue Sky, Shirley Ann Grow. The Sensationalists, look at this. Theirs was the strangest love triangle of them all. Another Foursquare delight. Tarzan, the very next book, Tarzan's Jungle Tales. I see the Tarzan books, they've all had the cover artist is Mortimer, so they've kept a uniform look, which is probably a very good idea. 287, Deluxe Tour. The Man of War, Francois Poutier. Very nice. Oh, this is a real lovely one. I absolutely love this. It's Starship Troopers. Look at that. This is the first British paperback of Starship Troopers in Foursquare. They did release it with a different number, which I've also got as Foursquare Stroke New English Library. So we'll see that this time round. But this one here, first published in Foursquare 1961. This is the reprint from September 61, so it's the right year. It's got the original jacket, but even this is actually a reprint. I guess this one sold really well. And with a jacket like that, you can believe it, can't you? Cool stuff. The Divine Wind. I said, with a lot of the Foursquare, I'm not too worried if they're a reprint or not, as long as it is the original jacket, really. The Gravy Train, 309. The King Must Die, Mary Renauld. Fred Hoyle, this is science fiction. Ossian's Ride. Looks like it's got a Josh Kirby cover. I can see the Kirby signature there, so there we are, Ossian's Ride. Frank Yerby, The Serpent and the Staff. And then Adam Faith, look at that. Poor Me. It's a photo cover about the pop sensation that he was back in the day. A Foursquare biography. I know they did a nice one on the Beatles, which I don't actually have. Goes for about £15. So I must find a copy of that one. Now we've got Eric Williams, and this is a nice one. This is The Tunnel, 326. It's a Second World War escape story there. Another one with a Kirby jacket on. So he must have started working in earnest for Foursquare around this time. Another one, I like it here, Kingsley Amis. And that was his follow-up to Lucky Jim, I believe. Once again, pretty common in a Foursquare edition, in all honesty. Tarzan Triumphant. Another Great Mortimer's jacket. That was number 339. HM Destroyers, non-fiction. 346. Honourable Ancestor, Robert Standish. 355. Tarzan and the Leopard Men, 380. Lovely. Damon Knight, A for Anything, 382. Nice copy of that one. Longest Day, in Foursquare, 618. Now, 382 is that one, and then it jumps the numbering. It's like they sort of petered out. So if we have a look at 382, it is consecutive numbering. So this is published in 1961. This one, although it's a reprint, it will give us an idea of when it was first a Foursquare. 1962. So that's 382, and this is number 618. So my theory is, I think the numbering for Foursquare, for whatever reason, there's a couple of hundred numbers that are not included. So maybe someone could actually tell me why there's such a big jump. So 629 here. There is a difference in style now, so the logo's changed ever so slightly to the Foursquare that you see there. Still got the fairly bold numbering on the spine here, but there is a definite change in style in the from the publisher. So PG Woodhouse, not so nice, that one. In fact, it's one of my worst Woodhouse jackets ever. 633. I wouldn't read that out of principle because it's such a bad jacket on that one. James Joyce's 685. Exiles. So you could sort of say the classic period of Foursquare is now over, and we're into like the middling ground between now and as it morphs into Foursquare. But you do see the stuff that they publish dramatically changes, and it may be just that's the stuff that I've collected, but well, we'll see in a moment. 715 here, John Masters. Buggles and a Tiger. There's a nice John Wyndham, Jizzle. The first paperback printing of that one, number 730. It's one I've had for a long time. It's in absolutely tip-top condition. Came in a little collection of this sort of stuff. Suzanne York, Pool Deluxe. Beautiful copy of that one, 741. Dorothy Sayers, classic there. Whose Body, 775. A Lord Peter Wimsey. Another Woodhouse, but this one, it uses a picture from the BBC TV series, the Jeeves and Wooster series, so much, much better. That's number 800, and we've got a change of logo again. See there. Pierre Boulle, author of, well, at the time, Bridge on the River Kwai, he'd yet to write Planet of the Apes. 850 there for A Noble Cause. Lines and Shadows, Christopher Isherwood, 881. Another Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, 933. Tarzan and the Lost Empire, 971. Another Dorothy Sayers there, very, very nice. Unnatural Death. Beautiful cover, that. I really like that one. Nice distinct red and black. Very, very nice. Nice science fiction now. 993, a Clifford Simak, All the Traps of Earth. Now, this sort of period of Foursquare into New English Library science fiction, this is 1964, I have really, really got into of late. And so Foursquare science fiction is definitely something I'm going to be tracking down individually. I've got a fair bit, and we'll see a lot more when we get onto the New English Library stuff, but this early Foursquare stuff, I'm really treasuring that at the moment. It's brilliant. 996 here then, so Tarzan and the Foreign Legion, another one of my favourites of all the Tarzan books. This is my worst condition, 4 square, which is 1012, it's 1012. It's a 4 square classic, Emile Zola's Earth, and another 4 square classic, A Hero of Our Time. That's 1022. The Fall of Crete, Alan Clark. It's quite a nice one. I had this for a while. The Dream Merchants. It's a Harold Robbins. And yeah, another great novel by the author of The Carpetbaggers. Carter Brown, Girl in a Shroud. And I think that's a cover by the American painter. And what is his name again? I can't remember. Who was the painter who did the ridiculously long legs? Maguire, I believe. From Other Worlds, another science fiction story. Robert Maguire, I've just remembered. Yeah, Robert Maguire. Yeah, a science fiction anthology here. From Other Worlds. Shouldn't really be looking into this. It doesn't even give an index. That's a bit poor, isn't it? That's a reprint, that one, but still very nice. Yeah, we haven't really got time to be looking inside the books. We've got too many to get through. Chocolates for Breakfast, Pamela Moore. This is 1112. Absolutely gorgeous. I love this beyond belief. Hot House by Brian Aldiss, 1147. I believe it's a first. Oh, it's actually the reprint from 65, but what a great jacket on that one. Really, really nice, that. Just love it. I think I might even have a spare of that one, but once again as a reprint. Indian File. Okay, cool stuff. Right, cracking on them. So we got 1166, which is the first astounding science fiction anthology. So 11 stories taken from the astounding science fiction. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Love it. Absolutely love it. Tarzan and the Forbidden City, 1181. Open Prison, more science fiction. James White. The Green Beret, 1254. Hilary St. George Saunders. And it's alright, but this is the first time I've ever got all my 4 square out and put them in publisher orders. So it's going to be quite an interesting few books in a minute. 12.99. Edmund Crispin, Frequent Hearses. And Aldous again, The Heirs of Earth. This is 13.25. Nice copy of that. Now another Churchill. 1331. Just a book about, is it by Churchill? No, it's a book about Churchill, it's about like a biography. 1965, this one. Wardmore, Bring the Jubilee. 4 square science fiction. And 4 square, and when they moved into New English Library, definitely embraced science fiction in a very big way. Michael Innes, 1393. It's a 4 square crime book. I don't have anything like as many crime in 4 square as I do science fiction. Another one there, The Other Mr. Churchill, Macdonald Hastings. The first of the Man from U.N.C.L.E. books that we'll see today. 1426, Souvenir Press Stroke 4 square book. Not sure what the connection was between the two. In actual fact, these were just reprints from America. You'll notice a lot of mine have got this signature on. That's Robert Vaughan's signature. And we got to meet Robert Vaughan back in the 90s and got loads signed by him. Brian Aldiss, the Dark Light Years, 1437. Another great one there in the science fiction. Tarzan and the Madman, Edgar Rice Burroughs, 1422. And the overall size of the 4 squares is very much thinned down now. 1459 here, Time Gladiator, Mac Reynolds. And if we have a look, we're looking at mid-60s. This one, 1966. So we got a bit of a time period here. I've got a few more Man from Uncles now. Here's number 2. And these early ones were huge sellers for Foursquare. It's number 3, Copenhagen Affair. Now I've got 2 copies of number 4, both signed. I think that one's got a photo on the inside front cover and is a reprint from May 66. And this one hasn't got the photo on the inside front cover and is the first. So they actually said that reprinted before publication. It's mad, isn't it? Mr. Stone and the Knight's Companion, V.S. Nepal. That's nice. Really nice, this one. This is a Brian Aldiss anthology. It's 1496. Got this one recently. Tip-top shape. Really, really like that one. Now, this is the first one from the Olympia Press. So the numbering is Olympia Press number 112, but it's Foursquare number 1520. So chronologically, it is in the right area. I've got a few of these Olympia Press ones, and apparently they are all a little bit edgy. Yeah, look, there we are. Olympia Press Traveller's Companion series, published by the New English Library. And it's quite interesting because maybe this is the origins of Foursquare becoming the New English Library. It's a story that needs to be told. The next one in the numeric chronology is this one, which is 1537. It's not even a B format, it's just a wider book. How to play golf and stay happy. We got another Tarzan and the Castaways. Let's move this little pile over there. Now here's one which I actually spotted in a charity shop recently. Didn't actually realise I had it. So Vathek, William Beckford, and it's a Foursquare Gothic mystery. So another little sub-series within the Foursquare series. Look at that. That is quite the curiosity, because we haven't seen much in the way of horror, have we? Really. Now another couple from Olympia Press, I Hear Voices, Paul Abelman, 1581, and A Bedside Odyssey, Homer and Associates. The Party Givers book, Mary Galati, look at that, 1602. It's like Abigail's Party, isn't it? I mean, that is just mad, really, isn't it? Can't imagine many of them have survived. A few more uncles then. Uncle number 5, The Finger in the Sky Affair. Now, once again, I've got 2 copies of number 6. I think they're just maybe variations. That's the first from July 66 with a picture. This one's got no picture, but also the first from July 66. It's a variant on the first edition. Very suspicious, I say. Young Adam, 1641, and it's a wide one here. The Best of Olympia, anthology of the best of it from the Olympia magazine, number 107 in that series, and it's 1645. Big, heavy book, that one. Must be quite collectible. Apparently they are, the Olympia books, they really are. So there you go, very much of their time, apparently. Okay, rounding out the last little batch of Foursquare, we got 1652 here, an ABC of science fiction. Another great one. Nice busy cover as well, which I really like. Tom Boardman Jr. Gorgeous. Now we got Batman, the first of the Batman books. So they did a few superhero books, of which we're going to see all of them. 1688. So this has got reprinted comic strips in from DC, only in black and white, sadly. But cashing in on the Batman TV show, which was run in the UK. 1671 here, Foursquare science fiction. Mac Reynolds again. Getting little glimpses of what was to come, aren't we, on some of these jackets now. Because when we hit the 70s, things very much ramp up. 3 Villains of Doom here, another Batman one here, 1689. Back to Man from Uncle, number 7. So you can sort of see a lot of these I had before I even started collecting Foursquare. So that's how they've ended up in the collection now. 1692, Batman versus the Penguin. Batman versus Joker, 1694. Back to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Mad Scientist Affair. And Carson of Venus, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Really great one, that. 1726. Beautiful. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Book 9. 1728, The Vampire Affair. And we got another one here, Lan of Gathol, Edgar Rice Burroughs. First time in paperbacks. This is the first paperback printing, I guess, in the UK of that. 1967, probably not worldwide, of course. Number 10 here, The Diving Dames Affair, Man from U.N.C.L.E. ABC of Espionage, 1750. I think this is the last one we're going to see in the Olympia press, 1752. Gordon, no idea what that's about. First of The Girl from U.N.C.L.E., so the Global Globules Affair, that's 1777. And we got a Marvel, so we got Spider-Man, 1792. So again, sort of black and white reprints from Lancer in America. Now we got the second printing of Starship Troopers with a different jacket. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really stunning. So this is, as it is, the reprint with this new edition, reissued in this NEL edition, March 1968. And it very much says New English Library, Foursquare Science Fiction. So the change is starting to happen. And that's also the first one we've got with NEL on the top of the spine. So we're just tracking our history here, aren't we? Incredible Hulk, number 1. Reprints again. Man from U.N.C.L.E. number 11. The Thinking Machine Affair. And Girl from U.N.C.L.E. number 2. Birds of a Feather Affair. And we got, another copy of Birds of a Feather. So why have I got 2? Why is there 2? That's the reprint from 67. And that's the first. Well, that does, in fact, seem a little bit greedy, but there you go. U.N.C.L.E. Book 12, The Monster Wheel Affair. This is Batman and versus the Fearsome Foursome, which is actually the movie tie-in to the Batman film, where they're all in. So this isn't comic strip. This is the movie tie-in. I think the British one's actually quite scarce, this one. More so than the other Batman ones. So might cost a few pounds if you want a copy of that. Unlike something like this, which I think is very, very common, really. Isaac Asimov, Through a Glass Clearly, 1866. And we got Girl from U.N.C.L.E. number 3. And Girl from U.N.C.L.E. number 4. Now, I'm pretty sure Girl from U.N.C.L.E. Book 4 is UK release only, this one. Very much set in the UK, Cornish Pixie Affair. I'm not sure about Book 3, if that was UK only either. Now we got Thor. Go on with the Marvel series again. Comic book reprints. A Shell Scott by Richard S. Prather. This is at 1933. Then another real classic one, The Girl on the Motorcycle. Very clearly a New English Library, 1945. This one, I believe, is quite collectible, this one. So one to look out for. It's got a little insert in as well, which is quite good. That's probably the original one. 1967, that. Yeah, quite collectible, that. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Book 14. The Splintered Sunglasses Affair. And Man from U.N.C.L.E. 13. So that's interesting because the numbering, 2083 for book 14, 2093 for book 13. So something going on at quality control there. Book 15, 2184. And the last one in the UK, book 16 here for Man from U.N.C.L.E. Now, in the States, they had the Man from U.N.C.L.E. books. They went up into the mid-20s. So evidently, by this point, the British sales had really dropped off, and certainly number 15 and definitely number 16 in Foursquare are much harder to find than you might think. Now we are, these have also, worth pointing out, these last few here, we've now moved over to New English Library, and Foursquare on the spine has been dropped. So we are now the New English Library going forward. So it sort of transitions into the second part of this video, which is 2299, the Penthouse Sexicon. This is one I got recently. It's a little science fiction anthology. 2367, Sense of Wonder with John Winderman. The drug traffic, just looking at drug trafficking and slave trading. Alan Moorhead, The Blue Nile. This is New English Library 2491. And the very last numbered Foursquare that I've got is this, which looks early 70s, doesn't it? 2813, The Sleeping Bomb. New English Library on the spine. It's got decimal as well as the original, 5 shillings. And date-wise, the first New English Library paperback edition, December 1970. So that, as we are in this video now, is the halfway point. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that extensive look through my vintage Foursquare paperbacks. Some absolute beauties there, I'm sure you'll agree. Now in the next video, we'll be taking a look at my vintage New English Library NEL paperback collection. So until then, thanks very much for watching today. If you haven't already, do please hit that subscribe button for regular vintage paperback content. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.